David Sutphen, co-chair of the Internet Innovation Alliance and a notable Democratic activist in Washington, D.C. Welcome to TechCrunch TV.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it must be a pleasure to be here because last week, David, you got a bit of a shellacking. What did the election tell you about the Democrats generally and specifically about technology policy in the Democratic Party?
Well, I think what the election told us in the broadest sense is that there's a lot of anxiety amongst the American public right now about the economy. At the end of the day, if you look at the results, what's really driving the voter frustration is the sense that we are stuck in a slow growth recovery, and people are not feeling the impact of the little job creation that's happening now. And in terms of technology and the broadband and internet and all these policy issues, I guess there's a couple of takeaways. One is that I think although there's a lot of time and energy, that increasingly amounts of time and energy spent in Washington on these policy issues, they aren't yet the issues that people vote on that make the difference. I mean, the economy, healthcare, the environment, and the wars and other things, I think, are much more top of mind for people. Now, the irony, of course, is that if you look at a lot of the challenges that the country faces, technology is, I would argue, a core component to solving those problems. But there are some who, for example, advocates of net neutrality, who reached out and got 95 individuals who were either running for public office last week or were already elected and seeking re-election to sign on to a pledge that if they were elected, they would be strong advocates for net neutrality, and all 95 of them lost in the election. So what that tells me is, as much as some proponents of net neutrality would like you to believe that it's a true, profound, grassroots issue that people vote on, the 95 to nothing shellacking proves that's not the case.
We'll come on to talk about net neutrality in more detail later.
Okay.
But your co-chair of the alliance, who we interviewed yesterday, Bruce Melman, a Republican, joked that he thought about 10 people in the whole election may have voted on technology issues. Is that fair? Do you think that a tiny proportion of people actually, when they walk into the poll, make their decision according to technology issues?
I think it's a pretty small number. Now, that's not to say that technology isn't something that shapes people's perceptions. I mean, if you think about it, technology had a huge influence not only in the election of Barack Obama, but there's actually a lot of Republicans this cycle that were able to use technology as a tool to connect with people. But I think we're still at a stage in which a lot of the core policy issues that are relevant in the technology debate are a little too esoteric for the average American citizen to engage with. But I do think if you were to ask Americans, what part of the economy do you think is working right, I think most people would probably say technology. And part of the reason for that is everyone engages and feels and interacts with it every day. So I think on a personal level, technology has a profound impact on people, and they know that. They're probably willing to express it, but it hasn't yet reached a stage where it really manifests itself in a kind of a concrete policy discussion.
Is that a fundamental challenge for the Democratic Party, do you think, in the next 2 years, to be able to frame technology in a way that ordinary American voters would understand to be relevant for their lives?
Well, I think the way to frame these issues is really on a broader level and talk more about innovation and common sense, solutions to our problems. Because the reality is that the American public, if you poll terms like innovation, people understand that solutions to our problems require innovative approaches. And technology is obviously inherently innovative. And so I do think that Democrats need to do a better job of demonstrating to voters how what they're doing in office is connected to the idea of fostering innovation, which in turn creates jobs, and will help us grow and stabilize our economy and remain competitive in a global environment. If you think about issues like education, healthcare, energy, and environmental issues, when you actually start to talk to the American people about those issues, technology starts to pop up very quickly. Millions of Americans now getting, some form of their degrees online. Health information technology, which is allowing, wireless heart monitoring or diabetes monitoring. And then in the context of the energy debate, I think most people understand that it's going to be technology, whether it's clean energy or otherwise, that's going to help us break through our current addiction to fossil fuels. So I think the American public gets it, just needs to be more concrete and definable.